rolling. We're live, baby. We're live.
Welcome back to Bikey Gang.
Bikey Gang, we've got a big one. We've got a big one for you guys.
Yeah, a really big, hefty. Got a big one.
We started off with the second biggest city in Oregon. Now we're doing the second biggest city in Texas. Because one day we will be the second biggest podcast ever
in the world.
Yeah. In the world. But only second biggest. You know, we have to have, Rogan's gonna always be above us.
That's right.
Curse you, Rogan!
Yeah, the second biggest podcast in Austin is also the second biggest podcast in the world.
That's true.
That's how it works. But we're not talking about Austin today.
No. We're talking about a place arguably much, much worse.
Oh, okay. Arguably, like you say, arguably much better.
I mean, sure. If you want to argue that, I won't stop you from arguing that.
That's true. Yeah. I guess that pluses and downs, pluses and minuses, I think is the term. But yeah, San Antonio.
San Antonio, Texas, baby.
Home of the Spurs. Home of SeaWorld.
SeaWorld?
SeaWorld, yeah.
Is there a SeaWorld in San Antonio?
There's this. There's an...
And we didn't go?
I know. There's a SeaWorld in California too, isn't it?
Yeah,
is that the
in
original
San Diego, I think.
Okay. Well, okay, home of one of the SeaWorlds.
One of the saints has the sea. Saint of the sea.
Saint Anthony. He was actually the patron saint of breakfast
Anal
tacos.
Sex.
Yeah, that too. He's more known for that one.
Saint Anthony did a lot of good things, Yeah. He captured whales and
made people fat. He captured whales and made them. But good old San Antonio. We like we said last episode, we lived in Oregon for multiple years. We only lived in San Antonio for about 6 months, but we still got a pretty hefty serving.
a hefty toast.
Yeah, of San Antonio, of that city.
It's an interesting place. I know I've been bagging on it a little bit, but it's worth seeing.
It's definitely worth seeing. Yeah,
it's worth seeing.
Yeah.
We'll start with the good. I mean, the river walk is awesome.
Yeah.
Fucking amazing.
Beautiful place, centered downtown.
Beautiful architecture, the lights, the clean river water.
You could drink out of it, I swear to you.
You can drink out of it.
Or you can drink next to it.
You can drink next to it. It's
That's right.
It's Vegas rules down there.
Vegas rules.
Public intoxication.
Yeah.
But as soon as you get up to street level, you're going to jail.
Yeah. It's pretty straightforward like that. So make sure you're drinking by the river.
Yeah. We want to increase the risk of drowning as much as possible. Yeah. Because there's no railings, there's really no protective anything. It's just the walk and then water.
And it is the San Antonio River Walk is kind of the centerpiece of San Antonio, of downtown, but it's just San Antonio in general. You could argue that it's the Alamo, which is another good thing to check out there. But
did you? I totally forgot about the Alamo.
I remembered it, and then I forgot.
You
and then I
remembered the Alamo,
and then it came back to me. Yeah, I remember that's a thing.
That is a thing. That's the Alamo's like slogan. Remember the Alamo.
Okay, well done.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting. The Alamo is No, remember worthy. It is definitely remember worthy. You should
It's
be
remember
remembering
worthy,
it.
just like 9/11.
Um, but a pretty significant like historical building. But
Yeah.
then it's just so
It's kind of underwhelming.
it's so anticlimactic to see it.
Yeah,
It's just like in the middle of downtown with so many like much more bigger, awe-inspiring buildings around
yeah.
it, and there's just this little
It's like this
little
dusty
stone
little thing.
church, and I'm
Yeah,
like, oh,
yeah.
there it
It
is. It's
looked
the Alamo.
it looks so much grander in like the Bob Dylan movie. I don't know if you know it. There's like a movie a long time ago that was like, well, I think it's just called the Alamo or something. But it looked like amazing, like,
Yeah,
you know. But it's I don't know if it's just like good old Hollywood
it's kind of like
blown to scale.
it's kind of like Plymouth Rock here. I'm now, for those of you who don't know, I'm in Boston now,
Plymouth
and like
Rock is
Plymouth Rock, you go and see it, and it's just like he's just a little guy. It's just a little. It's like a pebble.
it's
And
literally,
yeah,
yeah,
you
literally
guys,
just like the stone on the side of the road.
yeah, and that's the Alamo. Just kind of the stone, the stone on the side of the Riverwalk.
Oh wow, it is just the fucking rock. I just googled it.
Just Google
It's just
Plymouth.
it's just the rock
That's
with a number carved
not a
into it.
boulder. It's
It's a
a
rock.
rock.
I can't believe this is Plymouth Rock.
The
Wow.
pioneers used to drive those babies for miles.
It's like here you go. Here's your monument. Um,
Here's, oh yeah,
down in my backyard.
you want a thing for where the British people first landed here? A fucking pebble on the beach,
Go stare at that for an hour. Put that on your
bitches.
Instagram story.
Yeah, put that on your Instagram story.
But San Antonio does have much more worthy things to put on your gram. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a pretty city.
yeah,
It's got good architecture going. At least downtown does. Got some cool buildings.
yeah.
The
There's a
Riverwalk, like
lot
I
of
said, cool.
yeah,
The
really cool.
Alamo is small, but it is mighty. It's
It's
cool. I mean,
amazing.
it's still cool to like walk around the Alamo.
It's memorable. Yeah,
It's
city did
memorable.
it. Um, yeah, the architecture in San Antonio, it's really um, at least downtown, it is really memorable. There's a lot of that like Spanish influence from the what late 1700s,
Yeah.
late 1800s, and on top of that, you get like some really cool brand new buildings like the uh, what was it, USAA Bank.
Frost. The
Yeah, the
USA
Frost Bank. The
building,
Frost
the
Bank. That's the
Frost
one I'm thinking
one.
about. Yeah,
Yeah.
Frost Bank looks like it reminds me of um, the new Raiders stadium
Yeah.
at in
Sleek,
Vegas.
black,
Yeah, it's really sleek, really dark, and expensive.
expensive. Hard to believe that just one man, Robert Frost, the poet,
Robert.
made that building.
That's right.
And that's
He
a fact.
buys the
Don't
whole
look it
thing.
up.
Don't look it up.
I did all
He
this
made it.
research. You don't have to look it up. Robert Frost made that building.
That's the point of this podcast. You don't have to look
Yeah.
anything up.
Don't
Just
don't
take
look
our
any of
word
the
for
things we say up. We
it.
already
Yeah.
did that for you.
But yeah, a lot of Spanish influence, a lot of 21st century influence, obviously. Uh, but it also has a lot of with that Spanish influence. There are and on top of the Alamo and the Riverwalk, there are 26 total missions. Um, they're also kind of notable. Not that we went to any while we were there, but I think we probably passed by a few though, just on chance.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure if like I saw pictures of them, I'd
Yeah,
recognize some of them. It's like, oh yeah, I'd walk by that.
yeah.
Oh
That's the
yeah.
extent of it. I'd walk by that.
Oh yeah, I know that one.
But yeah, 26 different missions, and they all have this really nice like uh, well, obviously it looks like the cover of Hotel California, that kind of
Yeah,
super Spanish influence, horse riding off into the sunset kind of thing. So it is really, there's really cool architecture, but um, the coolest of the architecture is, hundreds of years old. Um,
Another thing that I remember about the architecture in San Antonio is just like San Antonio is like one of the very few places I've been to where like you can like usually if someone's like, oh, I live in this area, you have like an idea of like what the house, what the property is. It's like, oh, you live over there. Like,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, true.
But in San Antonio, like the neighborhoods, you could like have this huge, like grand, beautiful building. And
Yeah,
right next to it is like a half demolished abandoned house. And you're like,
yeah,
what's going on?
yeah.
Where are we?
These worlds are really colliding. Yeah, it's like within a single block, you have like every type of social class. I guess
Yeah.
it looks like that at
Like our
least.
walk, like even just like our walk from our apartment to Circle K to get our nightly Mickey's 40 ounce and a Nutter Butter.
Yeah, that's the diet.
But like
That's the
that
San
was like
Antonio
a
diet.
3 block walk to get our healthy, nutritious dinner.
That's right. And yeah, we saw
Um,
every type of building along the way.
yeah,
Kind of crazy.
really nice. And like our apartments were kind of. I mean, it was a nice building.
Yeah,
Um, Management was something else, but the
yeah,
apartments were nice.
yeah. Look out for San Antonio
And then
management.
yeah, we like walk a block and there's like a house that's like just completely torn down, ransacked. But then like right across the street, there's like this like family like neighborhood like
Yeah,
unit of like 4 houses with like
yeah, and like
picket
modern
fence and all
apartments.
that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And yeah, they were building like a block of like really modern apartments next to it. Um,
Yeah.
and right next to that was a completely abandoned. I think it was like an old taco shop. It's
Yeah.
like an old like yeah, shack there.
Mm.
And so yeah, it's really, you never know what you're gonna get.
You're never
Um,
San Antonio, it's a it
it's
is a
like a
mixed
box.
bag, man. You
It's like a
are
box of chocolates. Yeah.
no matter no matter where you go, you're in for some sort of strange adventure,
Yeah. Uh,
which is, kind of the beautiful thing about it.
yeah. It is. Yeah. It has its pluses. Yeah.
It has
Um,
its pluses. Not to
they
mention,
got.
oh man,
Yeah.
the how cheap it was down there.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
At
Really.
least in Trump's America, it was really cheap down there.
Right. Good
I
old 2020
we haven't really been there since Biden
since Joe.
became president.
Yeah.
Probably ruined it, just like he ruined everything else.
good old good old Trump keeping the gas prices down.
Yeah, gas was like $1.50 throughout most of the time we were there.
Pretty amazing. Good
And
good good factor.
San Antonio, definitely a place where you want a car.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true. There's
despite the
there's like
fact that it is the seventh largest city in the country,
yeah,
it doesn't feel, or it
it's
also
not.
doesn't have the infrastructure of the seventh largest city in the country. There is no subway. There is no like light rail. There's no bike
Hardly any
paths.
bus. Yeah.
There's no, but yeah, like going to work. I had coworkers who would like take the bus, and they're like, it would take me like an hour and a half, 2 hours to get to work. And it's like
Ridiculous. Yeah.
that is not an efficient bus system.
Yeah.
Um,
In Eugene, I would take the bus pretty much. Well, I mean, Eugene's very walkable, but I would take the bus pretty frequently. And in Portland, where I lived after San Antonio, I would take the bus every day. But in San Antonio, not once did I ride the bus, which
yeah,
is really strange. But we did
yeah.
live, for some context, we did live, um, uh, I would say, a 35 minute walk from the heart of downtown. Um, our
But also
San Antonio's,
that was kind of like the closest apartments there were to downtown. Because if you
yeah,
think
that's
about
also
it, there's downtown. The buildings are like office buildings or they're hotels. Like there's no like apartments downtown.
yeah, it was pretty,
At least
yeah, it
not
was
that I
pretty
can
sparse.
think of. Not that I remember.
No, I can't think of any. I mean, there was maybe like one or two buildings, but that like, yeah, it was pretty slim pickings.
Yeah, because
Especially going
so
on like websites.
yeah, so that's the thing too. Like we were like I also remember our apartment that we ended up living in was like broadcasted as or like advertised as oh like downtown
Yeah,
adjacent
that's
apartments,
the
but like you
that's the
said
closest that you get. Yeah,
you had to walk like 40 minutes to get to your job downtown.
yeah,
um so people don't really live downtown there. People live in like the outskirts,
outskirts. Yeah, for
and
sure.
the outskirts are poorly
They're not the
designed.
yeah the
So much so much exposed wire, man. It's
a
crazy.
lot of exposed
It's
wires.
right
And
next to the children's playground too.
mommy, let's play with this.
Mommy, what's that? Dude, I'll never forget. It was such like a surreal moment. Like all of San Antonio is surreal. Um,
One way or another.
it's like Atlanta, but
Yeah,
in real life.
just Mexican and yeah, in real life, Mexican
Childish
Atlanta.
Gambino should have made a show about San Antonio. That's a real surreal place.
Hmm.
But that
Super.
night in the apartment, which also side note, our apartment, I was going through pictures to look for our the background image for this episode.
Oh,
Our apartment was a vibe, man.
yeah, it kind of
With
was. Yeah.
the red light, the
Oh yeah.
couch,
The
we
red. Yeah,
never
red
had to
was the
turn
thing.
our actual light on because like the security
Yeah.
light was like right
Oh
outside our
yeah.
window. So it
Yeah,
created
that's
like the
right.
perfect mood lighting.
The security light. Yeah.
Dude,
True.
that was a good spot. That was a good spot. Our apartment
It was
was a vibe.
honestly, yeah, good. Other than the heating and the cooling, it was really good
Yeah.
quality. Um,
But
and
I remember one night we were just hanging out, watching TV. You were making second dinner,
yeah,
our
yeah.
favorite meal of the day.
Favorite meal. I think I know what you're gonna talk about.
And I just there was suddenly this weird like orange glow. And it was just like so weird. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Why is
Yeah.
our apartment orange now? And I look outside our window, and there's just a solitary palm tree that has caught on fire
Yeah.
right across the street from our apartment. And just like looking out the window and like seeing that, like that's like it was just
Yeah.
like a crazy image. Like this
Yeah.
one palm tree is just
A
up in
single palm
flames.
tree. Yeah. And yeah, it was completely up in flames like in a matter of like 30 seconds. It was
Yeah.
um in the I remember that the wind was blowing pretty heavily and the
Well,
the sparks I guess were like coming towards us.
I was like, we need to get out. I was like, we
Yeah.
need to go. I'm
Yeah, it looked
also
like
I grew up in the desert, so stuff like that back home doesn't stay to one tree. It'll
right, yeah.
spread. I was like, we got to get out of here. But no,
Yeah,
it just
definitely
it just
it
stuck to
just
that
did,
one tree. The
yeah.
tree was the only one that took any damage.
That poor tree. Yeah, it definitely
And then
looked
and
like
then like
it
2
looked like
weeks
our house
later,
was about to burn. Yeah.
and then 2 weeks later, that same palm tree was covered in snow. What a
Yeah.
crazy what a crazy journey that palm tree had.
Yeah, quite a life he lived. Um, but yeah, the
But it
palm
was
tree was caused by an electrical something. I don't know,
yeah,
just
is
just wires
that is
being
what the
faulty.
fire that's what the fire department people said, right? That it was like
Yeah,
exposed wire.
yeah,
That's why.
and
Yeah.
yeah, because the palm tree and the other ones close by, close to it too, there were there was no like trimming done, so the palm tree was pretty much it was right next to like it was touching the wires, the phone wires and the electrical wires that were going right past it on the sidewalk. Um,
Yeah.
and when we'd walk over to to get our daily Mickeys, we would
Daily
see
Mickey's.
a bunch of exposed wire just laying on the floor and stuff. And
Yeah.
doing a little research for this for the podcast, I saw that, and this didn't even have to be research, just from our experience. power
Yeah.
outages in San Antonio are extremely often, extremely
Yeah.
frequent. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, not just because of the snow. I think um, there were at least a handful of power outages while we were there. Um,
Yeah.
I
There
remember
were.
the kitchen um, the kitchen clock having to be reset quite a few times at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's something to consider. It's that kind of a city. Even though it's huge, well, even though the population is huge, I think it's a million
See,
one hundred
and
fifty
that
thousand.
actually, I'll get into this point too.
Yeah,
Getting into city planning jargon again, but it's the seventh largest city, but it is the 24th largest metropolitan area.
it's a big difference. Yeah,
So there's like a huge drop off. Um, so like people who are like, oh, like I'm from San Francisco, but like really I'm from, wherever I'm from, Redwood City. Fuck you, Steve. um, but like that, all that population isn't counted for the San Francisco like city population, but it's counted for the metropolitan area population,
right,
and that's what like people kind of look at to be like, okay, this is like how big the city area is.
right. Yeah,
So San
so
Antonio,
it's
people often don't think of San Antonio as a big city,
doesn't
because
have that feel. It doesn't have that.
yeah, it doesn't have that feel, and it's not actually like a big city. Like it is technically bigger than Dallas, but like Dallas is the largest metropolitan area in Texas,
Right.
and then Houston is after that, and then I think Austin maybe
Yeah, I would
even
say
before San Antonio in terms of metropolitan area.
maybe
Um,
even would you say El Paso would be above San Antonio?
I don't know. I don't know about El Paso,
Yeah. But
but
either way, San Antonio is it's really spread out. So even though it's got a good, hefty population in both senses, it's
yeah,
really um, it's very spread out. So you don't get that feeling that you're in a major American city. Um,
right.
it feels very kind of sparse, empty. We can tell you that from the time that we were there, that we hardly saw anyone walking around. It's just that spread out.
the The streets were not very lively
No,
unless you were down in the Riverwalk, and even then, there were times where that was kind
yeah,
of a ghost town too.
yeah, true. It's a very odd place. Uh,
It
it
would
had the
it would be interesting to do a revisit post COVID, because it isn't. We were there 2020, so during the time of COVID. So it'd be interesting to see if it changed, how it changed,
yeah,
um, in a
if it changed.
post pandemic world.
Yeah, I do remember. Speaking of the Riverwalk again, uh, and the population, I do remember that one night we went. It was close. It was close to Christmas. It might have been after or like around New Year's. Um, but we went down to the Riverwalk around Christmas to New Year's time, and it was completely packed. It was extremely
Yeah,
like there were more people there than we'd ever seen
it
anywhere in the
was
city for the other 5 months that we were there.
it was super busy during Christmas. I do remember that.
Yeah, so people, I mean, it has the potential to draw in a huge crowd. The question is, if it's like that um, after COVID, um,
Yeah,
which I guess you guys will have to see for yourself. Um, but we can't tell you that it does have a big population, so that it is
yeah.
possible.
It has a big city population,
Yeah,
which is rare. Well, it's not rare, but it's like it's strange. It's strange how big of a drop it gets, right?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
the top three cities in America, New York, LA, Chicago, are also the top three metropolitan areas. Um, and like for context, New York, like the city population is like 8 million. The metropolitan population is like 19, so it's getting 11
Wow.
million from
Yeah.
the like the suburbs.
Yeah.
San Antonio's city
It's,
population is like 1.5 million,
yeah.
and the metro is about 2.5 million. So it's only getting 1 million from the surrounding areas, which also just kind of goes to show you that it's all kind of like
Super
sparsely
spread.
spread out.
Yeah.
And right, like you were saying, doesn't create like this dense big city feel of a New York or a Chicago or even like
Yeah.
a Boston. Boston here, the city population is like 650K, but the metropolitan area is about 5 million. And Boston is, you know, a bigger metropolitan area than San Antonio.
It's amazing. Yeah. And yeah, I definitely I've never been to Boston, but I can, from images I can see the the obvious difference from Boston and San Antonio. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'll get that if you walk around in San Antonio outside of the city. Um, you'll well outside of downtown. Um, you'll see that there's a lot of just like empty lots or just um, not very populated like blocks, like just complete blocks that have been there's not a lot of attention paid to them
Yeah.
in one way or another.
Yeah.
Um,
And like you were saying with like Christmas, or they do this thing called Fiesta. Supposedly, we were never able to experience it
uh,
once again because of COVID. But the
some say,
Riverwalk is able to drive in a big crowd. But as soon as you get out of the Riverwalk, then it's just the city doesn't give a fuck anymore. It seems like,
yeah,
you know.
they kind of neglect everything that's not a tourist trap, pretty much.
Yeah.
Um, they give obviously you got the home of the Spurs. Um, what's the actual name of the arena?
I have no idea.
Yeah, me neither. The Frost. It must have been Frost, right? I don't know.
Probably. It's a
Yeah,
sponsor.
word.
Robert Frost loves the San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah, take our word for it. The Frost
Take our
Arena.
word for it, kids.
Don't look it up. But yeah, then you have Fiesta, which is all pretty much all centered in the Riverwalk downtown. The Alamo and the rip-off Space Needle, which is also pretty close to downtown.
Yeah.
So they're all pretty much. I mean, they're interesting to go to, but it seems like the city puts all their money to the tourist traps and nothing outside of that realm.
Right.
Uh, but
Right. So yeah, what you're left with is like a couple of nice pockets kind of centered around downtown, and then the rest is abandoned wasteland.
yeah,
Unless you're in Alamo Heights, then you know
right, yeah, and
you're well
they
off.
do have good places. I mean, there are these some little communities here and there that are worth checking out, or at least
Yeah.
more noteworthy than the nowhere kind of limbo places you
Yeah.
might find. St.
Yeah.
Mary's Strip specifically, I'm thinking of.
St. Mary's.
That's
Yeah.
kind of the place if you're not downtown. That's the kind of the place you want to go for nightlife for drinking with a semi young crowd. St. Mary's Strip. It's got a bunch of
Yeah.
bars and a bunch of good food. They have one
Yeah.
of our
I
favorites,
was
Curry Boys Barbecue.
I was just thinking a couple days ago about that curry barbecue
Curry
place.
Boys,
So
yeah,
good.
that was really good. Yeah, such a good, definitely one place to recommend for food that's not taco oriented in San Antonio.
So, you know, San Antonio did have some good food spots.
Yeah, for sure.
Armadillos, great
Armadillos
burger.
for burgers. Yeah.
Armadillos, great burgers.
Burgers and probably
burgers and cute waitresses.
Yeah. Only place you're gonna find that combination.
Yeah.
But
There was
probably my favorite burgers my favorite burger I've ever had is Armadillo's.
you heard it here first, folks. Armadillo's in San Antonio, Texas.
Yeah.
Joseph's favorite burger.
Really, really good.
It's a good burger. It's a really good burger.
That's the only reason you gotta go. That's the only reason.
Go on down to San Antonio and eat at Armadillo's, and then you can leave.
Yeah, that's about it. No, there's because you also have to check out Creek Boys.
Yeah.
There's also a really nice Mexican market that's it's pretty much there all the time. It's not like it's not like your Saturday market, or a seasonal market. It's like, think of like Little Mexico, and except it's it's a bit smaller than a Little Mexico would be, but it's a year-round thing.
It's a tiny Mexico.
It's a day. It's not Little Mexico. It's tiny Mexico.
It's tiny Mexico.
But
yeah, that was
pretty cool stuff. Yeah.
That was a pretty cool market. Yeah, there's definitely good food and cheap. Once again, at least in Trump's America, it was good, cheap food.
HEB.
HEB.
I mean, I guess that's for the greater Texas.
Yeah, that is a greater Texas store. Yeah. But man,
it is very cheap prices though.
When I do grocery shopping here, I miss Heb.
Yeah,
missing my road Heb.
Road Heb and Roadkill. But yeah, there are a few places, but again, they're pretty spread out. Unlike some other cities that we'll cover here, San Antonio is by far, it's not bike friendly.
No.
They do have some bike share stations, but they're pretty much centered. They're pretty much only downtown, by the Riverwalk, just like everything else.
Yeah,
there are some electric scooters there too. Same deal. You can't really,
because we don't want the people of San Antonio to exert themselves too much.
Yeah, please take it easy.
Yeah. Another cultural thing about San Antonio, and maybe one of my favorite stories about San Antonio, is apparently the city invested a lot of money for this walking path.
Yeah, walking
because,
path
it's
from
in
downtown,
Texas, in southern Texas.
Yeah,
weather's nice year round mostly.
It can take you to all the Mission Trail. It was called the Mission Trail.
Okay, yeah. See all 26 missions that we may or may not have walked by already.
but during our time there, there's pretty much no one was using them.
Yeah, it went unused. They spent however many millions to fund this capital project, in I guess the hopes to make the people of San Antonio more active, and it did not work.
They were inviting.
I guess that's a planning lesson in there somewhere. Don't plan for the people you want them to be. Plan for the people they are.
They are.
And what the people of San Antonio are, they're chunky. They're a little chunky.
It's not the healthiest population.
Speaking, also, I just saying crazy cats. Do you remember how many stray cats there were?
I forgot about that too.
There's a lot of cats in San Antonio.
Yeah, it's like the sparrows of San Antonio. Yeah, they're everywhere. There were a lot of stray cats.
Holy shit! I forgot about the birds too. Every day at sundown, the birds.
A lot of very noisy birds.
Yeah.
They had the runs, all of them too.
There were so many stray cats and so many loud, tiny birds that were just constantly migrating. What a weird, once again, just adding to the surrealism of what is San Antonio.
It's very strange. Very strange place. But uh, yeah, but besides the bikes and the scooters, there's really nothing. There's no other. There's no public transportation.
No,
There's a
no,
bus, but there's nothing to be talked about.
there's yeah,
Um,
there's a bus that doesn't get people to where they want to go in a timely manner, and
I guess it should be noted about the driving. If if that's all you're going to be doing, to be getting from point A to point B, the driving in San Antonio is also
oh,
not the best. There's actually the city's kind of structured so there's a there's a loop that kind of conceals the central downtown part of San Antonio, and then from outside of this loop, um, it's called Till Loop 1604, and outside of that is like the more I guess suburban parts of San Antonio. But that Till Loop 1604 used to be called the Death Loop because there were
oh,
so
really?
many accidents. Yeah,
I
it's
believe
probably
that.
still yeah, it's probably still called that. Endearingly, I guess,
Interior.
a term of affection
Oh yeah,
for the good
yeah.
old Death Loop.
Oh, we love the old death loop.
Yeah. But yeah,
But yeah,
very
the
tough job.
drivers there, like people, there's a stereotype of like, oh, California drivers are crazy, or mass hole drivers,
Or Florida.
Florida drivers, hands down, the worst, most dangerous, and just like most like non-logical
Reckless.
driving I've ever seen,
Reckless,
and on like a daily basis,
yeah.
was in San
San
Antonio.
Antonio. Yeah. There were definitely quite a few short stops that we had to do while we were there. Few quite a few immediate you know breaks
Yeah.
because of the drivers in San Antonio. So watch out.
So watch out,
um,
yeah.
yeah, but on a lighter note, um, San Antonio does have you know really nice diversity, I guess.
Yeah? Yeah.
uh,
Do you have the diversity statistics on you?
the diversity statistics. um, yeah, kind of crazy. Obviously, it's pretty close to it's in Texas, so it's pretty close to Mexico. So um, these won't be very shocking, but 24% of the population is white alone. So
Really?
that's kind of
White
minority. Yeah,
alone.
white
Okay.
alone. Yeah, seven
Only
percent
only
black.
24% is just white alone.
Yeah, compare that to Eugene, right?
Yeah.
7% black, 64% Hispanic or Latino.
What?
Yeah. And obviously, there's some crossover between
Sure.
white alone and Hispanic or Latino. I think there's I didn't write it down, but uh, the both races is I think about 20%.
Mm.
3% Asian, and
Mm.
it's not really a race, but 15% are veterans. So 15. So yeah, the minority.
Yeah, I'm a mix. I'm
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 half
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 Irish and
Mexican.
half veteran.
I'm a half Mexican, half veteran. I'm a veteran on my dad's side,
Yeah,
Mexican on my
my
mom's
dad
side.
was full blown veteran. Uh,
um, we need more representation for veterans, first veterans. Um, well, while I'm reading out the demographic or the statistics here, the median rent is $1,025,
really?
and yeah, and the median home income is $52,000. Um, so
Wow.
looking
Maybe
pretty
things really
good.
have changed. Because when
Yeah,
we were living there, our apartment, we were paying, like, a little bit over 500 each
500 each. Yeah, yeah.
for
Um,
2 pretty spacious bedrooms, a
yeah,
pretty spacious living room, and a kitchen,
yeah.
and a
It had a
bathroom.
ton of space. Yeah,
Yeah.
and a bathroom. Yeah. It did have a lot of space. Now that I think about
It
it.
was it
Um,
was a nice apartment,
yeah,
despite the
and it had
fact
a
that there were, people trying to sneak into the gates,
right
people, like,
every night.
jerking off in the parking lot. There were some dubious characters in
Yeah,
our,
there's some characters, San Antonio,
yeah.
and
Do you remember
the
the dude with, like, the mustache and he had, like, a gator skin vest? Do you remember that dude?
oh
Definitely a
yeah,
drug dealer.
yeah, the best. Yeah, yeah, I remember that. Definitely some odd looking. Is like you press like random generate on your Sims character, um, and that guy popped up. Definitely.
Dude, I'm still on the Facebook page too for
Oh
for
yeah.
uh for the
Any
apartment
crazy
complex, and the
any crazy
news
things
that'll
happen?
just pop up there.
Not reassuring.
Not reassuring.
No,
Things have
they're
not gotten better there.
still up to their antics. Huh?
Yeah,
So,
the
yeah.
Cosmo, as they want to call it now.
Oh yeah, the Cosmo. Yeah,
That
it's called the Oasis when we were there, I think, or something like that.
I I just always thought it was 111 Park.
Oh yeah, yeah. But
Um, but also,
mm,
so our neighborhood, I think it'd be a good idea to go into what our neighborhood was. It was technically the gay neighborhood,
the
and
gay
by
neighborhood,
that I mean there was like 2 blocks of, not
the
even, like
gay
a block and a
bars
half of gay bars slash gay
and gay
businesses,
businesses.
and that
Yeah,
was it. And
yeah, yeah. That was
there's
about it.
also like San Antonio Community College, sack proud,
Yeah, it's like,
stay
there were
sack
flags.
proud.
They had little banners on the night lights, on the street lights. They
But
were very proud of their sec.
yeah, very proud. Their sack is going places, man.
Yeah,
Um, but it's in usually the college neighborhoods and the gay neighborhoods. This one was a fusion of the two, but usually
yeah,
those are like two pretty, like, safe, pretty clean,
pretty young.
pretty proper neighborhoods.
Yeah,
But nope,
no,
not this one.
not at all.
A
You don't
lot,
get
a
what you
lot
think
of
you're getting.
characters. Like I said, people trying to
Yeah.
break into our apartment. People would, like, try to look over my shoulder while I put in the code.
Wow,
Um, or,
that's
like,
fucking
would,
crazy.
like, try to, like, be on the side and then, like, try to catch the door as people were, like, leaving or coming in.
Yeah, I remember my walks home from work. Like I said, I would work downtown at this like a coffee shop, grocery store thing, and I remember my walks back home. I think I would get out at, was it 11 or 10? I think it was one of those two. I can't remember. Um, but I would get around to say around 10:30, and I would walk I'd walk home, about 40 minutes, and there would be quite a few times when I thought that like either someone was getting robbed or shot at, or
Yeah,
I would see something really sketchy going on, like something very obviously um, illegal going on, um, and it would get progressively worse the further I got to or the closer I got to the 1604 loop, and then
yeah,
after that it would it would get a little better until I
yeah.
got to our part of the neighborhood. So our
Specifically, our
the
part of the neighborhood was the trouble part of
yes,
the neighborhood.
yeah. Oddly enough, there's a section there where I was like, okay, I'm in the clear,
Yeah,
But and there there's like no cop sirens or anything.
it is. The walk from our apartment to downtown really is a roller coaster ride, right? Because you start
Yeah,
off already kind of sketchy, and then you get to, okay, it's like kind of nice, You're
Yeah.
you,
There's a
you're walking
hospital
past.
right in the middle. Uh,
Yeah,
hospital with cops and everything. And
yeah.
still, yeah.
And then yeah, so you go past the neighborhood, then you get into that one
It's like
restaurant
this
that always
motel.
seemed like it was open, but it was never open.
Yeah. And right next to it, there's a motel that I'm pretty sure was like a halfway house or something.
Oh yeah,
Because there would
right
constantly
by the
be
loop, that one.
yeah,
Yeah,
right
yeah.
next to the loop.
That was
It
yeah,
was practically underneath the bridge.
yeah.
But
That's a place where you gotta watch where you step. Look for
yeah.
some needles.
I remember even right close to that loop, there would be I would stop sometimes for like a like a breakfast bar, and it was just a gas station,
Yeah,
just
okay,
a
I
regular
noticed.
gas
Yeah,
station, and every time I would go there, there would be these like they would have like two cops like fully armed like to the
yeah,
teeth, and
yeah.
they'd just be standing
Protecting a
at
gas
this
station.
gas, yeah, like
Yeah.
it was that bad, and there and once or twice when I'd go, they'd be arresting someone or questioning someone, um, so yeah, pretty sketchy. It makes sense to drive not just because it's a spread out city, but
Yeah.
also you don't know what you can
Yeah,
run into.
definitely going under the loop, like
Yeah,
the handful of times where I've walked under the loop, I'm
yeah,
like, this is no, this is
yeah.
not it. Walking under
It's
the
not.
loop sucks. That gas
Yeah,
station sucks. That
yeah.
that uh rundown motel is creepy.
All of it. Yeah, I'm honestly
Um,
surprised that I didn't get mugged at least once.
yeah.
Um, during my 6 months, 5 times a week walking back. That in that
There's
direction.
there's the fun story of how someone tried to steal my identity. There
Oh
was
yeah.
that's a fun little story.
Oh my god. Yeah, it really was it was quite a place for for treachery, San
Yeah.
Antonio. Um,
People are up to no good over there.
they
But
are.
come on down and visit. It's a great time.
Yeah, I
Um,
guess where we're going with this is definitely a place to visit, but not the most livable city.
yeah. I I mean I've talked to you about this a couple of times. I do look back with fondness upon San Antonio. You know,
Yes.
I you see it through rose colored glasses now that it's in
Yeah.
the past, and you think, oh man, back when we would just every day go and get Nickies and Nutter Butters, and like those were the times. Those were good
And
old
stream the
days.
NBA. Yeah, bootleg the
Yeah,
NBA.
yeah. Watch the Pelicans and the
The Pelic-
Spurs.
True.
Um, and
But it
there like
is.
there's definitely a lot of good things about San Antonio. The Pearl District. We didn't even bring up the Pearl
Yeah,
District, which
and I
is
wrote
sick.
it down too because I knew I was gonna forget it. Yeah,
Yeah,
the Pearl District is pretty much um, the only place that looks kind of uh, date nightish, if that makes sense.
yeah,
You know.
yeah.
Um,
The only place to take a date in San
yeah,
Antonio.
is this one like like a 4 blocks by 4 blocks, let's say
Yeah,
maybe 3 by 3. But it was um, it was centered around these nice apartments. It was a nice
yeah.
part of town. Um, but the river ran through it, of course. Um, and
My
the river,
favorite
by
part
the
of
way,
that
runs.
movie.
Yeah, the river runs through it, and uh, the river does, by the way, run through a lot of San Antonio. It's not just not just the river walk in the middle of downtown, but it does go, it does branch out in other parts of the city, but just those parts don't get a lot of traction because it's pretty much just the river by itself. And there are no businesses on the on either side. Uh, but for the Pearl it was pretty much the only exception to the river walk where there was foot traffic, and it wasn't downtown.
Yeah.
Yeah, really nice place to, date night kind of place. You won't get robbed there.
You
Well, you'll get robbed
well,
in a different way.
we,
Yeah,
we won't guarantee anything, but
yeah.
most likely
You'll get corporate style robbed. It's an expensive place.
Yeah, that was the pricey part of town.
Yeah, not a very big part of town, but still pretty nice. Um, in terms of nightlife, we already mentioned St. Mary's Strip, which I should shout out the Brass Monkey, and which has really really good cheap drinks.
Yeah.
And that other place that we used to go, my favorite place, which oddly enough I can't remember the name of. It's like the Amp.
The amp,
Lounge or something.
yeah, the amp room or something like that.
The Amp room, yeah. Well, yeah. Take our word for it.
Don't look it up. Don't look it up.
Yeah. But they would have that sometimes have live bands, like local bands. More often than not when we were there, but that was probably just because of COVID. But I didn't really get a huge, music scene vibe from San Antonio. Not even the St. Mary's Strip. So yeah, not a very big music scene. Not a huge like nightlife scene either. I mean, obviously, go to Austin if you're gonna go to Texas for the nightlife.
Yeah, go to Austin, go to Houston.
Yeah.
Don't go to Dallas.
Go to Dallas.
Kidding, you can go to Dallas if you want. Who am I to say? Go to Dallas.
Cool.
The largest Texas metropolitan area.
The largest. And we were actually in Austin for Halloween.
For Halloween,
because we I guess we figured that San Antonio wasn't going to be, we had seen San Antonio for maybe 2 or 3 weeks. Point. Yeah,
not even like 2 weeks.
Yeah, and I think we had an intuition that we should go somewhere else for Halloween, because it would be like, would be popping. But yeah, I mean, I guess to quickly shout out Austin.
Shout out Austin. Shout out Halloween.
There were lines for every bar. There were lines, like 30-minute wait lines. It was pretty insane.
Yeah,
I'm sure in San Antonio at the same time of night that we could have gotten to a bar. Yeah.
Also, I feel like Austin is a good, another good example. Technically a smaller city, but it felt bigger, right?
Oh yeah, way bigger. Yeah,
it felt
like an actual city.
Yeah,
felt like an actual city. You'd walk around and there's something to do everywhere. Within a 1.5 mile radius. In San Antonio, that's not the case. You get like like we said already. It's pretty much the Riverwalk, the Pearl, St. Mary's Strip, maybe. Not very densely located.
Yeah,
but yeah, I guess we also shout out the that one place in Alamo Heights, or on the way to Alamo Heights, was the Growler Exchange.
The Growler Exchange, yeah.
Oddly enough, the best pizza I've ever had was there. was at a bar.
Yeah, at like a
classy, like a bottle shop.
Yeah, bottle shop.
Yeah, they had
the Growler Exchange. Really right across the parking lot from where I spent 6 glorious months working at Texas Institution. Jim's Restaurant, baby.
Jim's Restaurant.
What
they're special with us.
Oh, they're special. Cockroach omelet. There were cockroaches all over that damn building, and I became numb to it. I was just killing cockroaches every day.
Yeah, so a really, really odd combination of. Also, it should be noted, there's hardly any Asian food in San Antonio.
Yeah,
there was. I'm just thinking about that because on that same side,
baby.
Yeah, well, yeah.
One month. A sassy Asian man gave us some flack for wearing old masks into his restaurant.
Yeah, the I was wearing mine for I'd been recycling the same mask for a few months, which he had heard as 1 month, and I just went with it. Um,
He
but
was
he,
so taken aback just from the time frame of 1 month
yeah,
that it felt like it would cause him too much damage
yeah,
to say no.
he
It's been
was,
like 3 months.
and yeah, he was very sassy about it too. It was
Oh
interesting
no, baby.
old Asian man. Yeah, sounded like a Kardashian or something. But anyway,
Also,
um,
for all you Delta 9 users out there, you can only get Delta 8 to THC in Texas.
yeah,
So another thing to keep in mind.
yeah, weed is strictly legal there.
Lay
Um,
off the weed.
yes, as good Stephen Smith would say. But what isn't illegal there is um, pretty much the same thing as weed, except it's derived from hemp instead.
Yeah,
But they call it Delta 8.
Delta 8 or Delta.
Delta 8.
Fuck, I forget which one is the real
Yeah, I
one.
forgot which one it was. Yeah.
No, Delta
Well,
9 is the fake one. Delta 8 is
okay,
the real one, I
that
think.
sounds right. Yeah, Delta 9.
Yeah.
But yeah, they just call it Delta 9, and they sell it just the same, just
Right.
because
Yeah.
it's from a different plant. But it's probably you'll probably still get in trouble if you get caught smoking it. But at least it's legal to sell and legal to smoke.
Yeah.
Um, there's really no like I mean I could tell the difference between that and weed. It looked the same, it smelled the same. The
It
shops were
didn't.
exactly the same.
It was. I feel like it. There were milder effects. It was a milder effect.
Yeah, that's what they told us. Yeah,
It
the
was. It's weed light,
it's weed
basically.
light. Yeah, weed light. And another shout out to a local thing. Uh, a local favorite at the bars is Lone Star Light, and for some
Mm,
reason, how much better it
yeah.
is than the regular Lone Star. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Those blue cans, baby. That's how
The
you know
blue
it's good.
cans.
Get the
Yeah,
get the Lone Star Light, the blue
yeah.
cans,
That was
and
honestly
drink them
really good
down
back
by the
then.
river.
Down by the yeah, that's true.
That's
So
that's
yeah,
that's another pretty consistent uh, ritual we had was
yeah,
drinking our Lone Stars down by the river.
yeah, pretty good. Something that you definitely have to do is when visiting San Antonio, you go down to the river walk, go to the CVS, right, and uh, and just buy a can of beer over there, and just walk out, open it up, and walk around drinking it just like that.
And
Um,
enjoy the night.
yeah,
Watch as
especially
the
because
tourists pass by.
yeah, absolutely. And uh the really weird, there's some really strange people that are on the Riverwalk too, like
Yeah.
or
Well, I mean,
the guys with the snake.
I think we've spent an hour establishing there's strange people all over San Antonio.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. But
All
yeah,
right,
a lot of people. Yeah.
we should probably get into our closing statements here.
Okay. Yeah. Um, I'd say overall, it's a fun place to visit. It definitely has enough things to keep you entertained. If you were, to go down for a fiesta, which is, if we hadn't mentioned it before, it's a 10-day, pretty huge, party at the Riverwalk. Um, they're the boats that they use for tours typically on the Riverwalk they use as floats. Also worth doing the tours or worth seeing as the floats. Um, but yeah, quite a few things to keep you entertained. But if you kind of want a replacement for Las Vegas, go to the Riverwalk, I guess. Like
Yeah,
some kind
definitely.
of a
There's a
Mexican
lot of
Las Vegas.
highlights, a lot of interesting things, a lot of things that will grab your attention. And like honestly, it is kind of worth it just to like walk around and see the vast difference of what you're gonna get in San Antonio, like we were talking about, just like the walk to the Pearl or like our walk from our apartment to downtown, and just like you experience like different kind of world in just that walk.
Absolutely. And
Um,
even even though the the coolness was kind of confined to the Riverwalk, people still people come from all over Texas and all over the country to go to the Riverwalk.
yeah. So it's
So
worth
yeah, definitely
it's definitely
it
worth
is worth
seeing.
it. Yeah.
And every
Even
once in
though
a
it's
while, you will stumble upon like a cool thing outside of the Riverwalk, and you're like,
yeah,
"Holy shit! Like this is so cool!" It's like a little oasis,
yeah,
inside all the craziness that is San Antonio.
yeah, that
And
pretty much
that's
sums it up.
that's also kind of a thing that's like, oh, like that makes it all worth it. Is like in this small little bubble of cool
Yeah,
in like this chaotic
yeah,
city that is San
all
Antonio.
yeah, and all the craziness really um, accents the non craziness. The coolness once you do find it. Yeah.
Yeah. I
But
give San Antonio 6 out of 10 Lone Star Lights.
6 out of 10. I'd give it 2.5 out of 5 Charles Barkley's. That's my rating for
All right.
San Antonio.
You heard it here first, folks.
Right here first, man.
Check it out.
Yeah, check it out. Don't live there.
Check it out. Don't live
Yeah. All right.
there. All
Episode
right.
2 of the of Bikey Gang. Hope you enjoyed this one.
We need to think of some sort of sign off.
Yeah, so fuck you.
Ding ding.
Yeah, true. Yeah, this is our we flash your bike. Flash your gang.
Flash your sign. Throw
Flash
what
your
you
gang
know.
sign. Yeah. All right. See y'all next time.